will be the one writing code.
You're still playing fine and white, right? Let's get
Anyway,
it right. You're wearing red.
Yeah, this is a little more visible that way. Anyway, before I actually start, today we're going to talk about using and actually creating PCLs, portable class libraries, to use with your Xamarin apps, right? Xamarin and Windows Windows Phone apps. So those are the things that we're going to get into today. Hopefully, it will be fairly high level, so it should be easy to understand for the most part. And we will try to show you a couple of demos and how we did, how we do certain things. Before I actually move on, one of the things I want to let you guys know, there is a free event that we're creating. Chicago Program. We are on the 7th year now. We moved away from the city for a while. We're coming to the city. It's going to be April 18th at IIT. Just giving you guys a heads up. We'll actually open the registration so on and so forth fairly soon.
Hello?
Yo.
What do you do? Start sharing Hangout.
Okay. Are we sharing? Okay.
Is it showing?
Oh, yes.
Got it?
Yeah.
Awesome. So the topic is that portable libraries will not just talk of mobile development. Before I actually move on, let me introduce you to this guy right here. Min, you want to say anything about yourself?
So my name is Min Mong. I actually work for a company called Xamarin.Technologies up in Wisconsin. My blog is on bitacode.com. Hopefully, the stuff that we talk about today, that's going to be the actual executable and everything else, the whole project on my blog. Probably in the next few weeks.
Yeah.
So I'm mainly a web and used to do WinForms, but we're faster, right? So from WinForms, I moved to mobile, Android, iOS, WinForm, and then now this.
Okay. And hi, I'm the other guy, Llewellyn. Contact information is here, as well as I'm the guy that helps John and Jason and Mike run this thing. So I'm usually here most of the time. Just call me anytime. Min and I actually started off as mobile devs, right? At one time or the other, we actually wrote a bunch of apps on all different platforms: iOS, Android, Windows Phone. As it turns out, we always keep finding out, holy grail of writing apps and try to figure out how to get it done quicker and easier for a long time. And sometimes we also did on the robots, so we also know that the robotic geeks. We actually do a lot of stuff in mechatronics, but we don't make our own. We know whatever, design our own things and did a few things here and there as well. But our background came from Android. Very first time we actually wrote was the app called P4D. That's the very first app out there that will allow you to remotely flash completely different ROM onto a phone safely, even before cell carriers started doing that. So that's how we, became somewhat famous. And then I wrote that thing. Well, we wrote that thing over a weekend one day, and that was on Engadget, and everybody went P-wired. That was the first theming thing that made your Android phone look like Windows Phone. So that was us. And let's talk about social changes, right? Things that are happening nowadays. Back in the day, well, if I actually tried doing this at dinner table at home, I'm probably going to get spanked in my head by my parents, right? They're like, what the heck is wrong with you? You get it together. This is not happening nowadays, right? Everybody's actually, into this. The other, about like 2 weeks ago, I was out having dinner with my girlfriend. We were actually sitting in a restaurant and turned around. There were two people busy typing into each other's phones, right? That's how they're communicating, I think. I don't know what the heck is going on, but this is the reality of things. The reality of things is that things are also changing in the mobile space. Tablets are becoming more mobile, and people are using things differently. We want to actually move into things where, population is changing into more mobile-friendly type of people, right? Worldwide, there are about 7.2 billion people. We have about 6.9 billion cell phone or mobile phone subscriptions. That number changes slightly differently when you're coming to the US. We got about 317 million people, and there are more phone subscriptions than people out there in this country. Why? Because we actually carry more than one device sometimes. Some of us carry multiple different phones, so on and so forth. That's a fact of life. That number is going to keep changing, and it's going to keep going up. Just read this for a second. That it's in fact a file, right? All of that occurs when you write an app. Your app has to go on big widescreen computers, right? It has to actually be livable on a 80-inch screen if it needs to be, all the way down to a tablet, and of course mobile phones. How do we get around this? How do we do this properly? Traditionally, I will be the guy sitting on top of the platter saying, UX is important, and I can actually talk about UX for a whole day if I need to, but let's not do that today. We're going to talk about PCL. So let's look at how we actually consume data, right, in terms of writing portable class libraries, and how we can actually make mobile phones, different to a different level. Data is king, bottom line. And I want to write a simple business logic to deploy to multiple different devices. I have a couple of options, right? One option is writing code in HTML5, JavaScript, CSS using PhoneGap or anything similar to that. Icenium, whatever Ionic, whatever you want to call it, and put it in different frameworks and toss it out, and hopefully, and then drawing it. And on the other side, we have Xamarin. There are pros and cons to each of these things, obviously. But in terms of HTML5, right? I've written a bunch of code in HTML5 as well. This statement is true, right? And it used to be, write one stuck everywhere, which is getting a little bit better now. Write once, stuck somewhere. It's not everywhere anymore, but it's slowly getting better, but it's not there yet. So we're going to turn to portable class libraries. So if we're writing code, right?
You should be very familiar with the first side, right?
Oh yeah, we've done a lot of these things together. So every time, Min and I used to go, about 4 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, we used to do a lot of hackathons. And the way we actually, go into a hackathon and try to win a mobile division, we could write code and push it out in 2 different platforms, right? Windows Phone and Android. How do we do that? Well, if you look at Java and C#, they're fairly similar. It's not 100% dead on, but close enough you can copy and paste. So we used to do copy, paste, modify the code a little bit, and we used to pass it around. That was how we used to run code. And for the most part, it works. But let's look at portable class library, right? This is the other method. So there are pros and cons to each of them. You want to go over that pros and cons real quick?
Which one?
Either one. In terms of pros for copy and paste, right? Meaning I have code. I want to just use the same, business logic again.
So if we go native, copy paste method, we always get a native code because you are literally writing native code. The code that's intended for the operating system, and it's most likely going to be a smaller footprint than the original.
Typically, yeah.
Typically, right?
The issue is that when you're writing code and copying and pasting across multiple different platforms, code base becomes hard to maintain. You're looking at did I change it on Android side? Did I change it on iOS side? Did I change it on Windows Phone side? Or did I miss something somewhere? Right? This is where you're into issues.
It's great for like hackathons, but in the long run, it's harder to maintain as code starts shifting around and stuff like that. And different people work on it. Even between Luan and myself, sometimes he would change something, and then I'll go back into a different, to the iOS version, and I'll be like, what the hell did you write on the other side?
Yeah, things get messed up fairly quickly. And obviously, looking at multiple different languages and multiple different IDEs as well. Think about running Eclipse and then Visual Studio. Those are somewhat of a day and night difference in terms of developing platforms, right? So things get a little hairy at times, and sometimes you suggest things that you're not used to. And syntax is also can become an issue too, right? When you're looking at string versus string, like capital S versus lowercase s, it can get a little shifty because you can just copy paste and all of a sudden like oops, something's not right. So that's that. That takes us to PCLs. In terms of portable class libraries, those things run everywhere pretty much. I can even make a portable class library and target it to .NET, Total Classic, .NET, whatever, 3.x. I can push it out to Windows Phone and Windows Phone 7 and 8X using Silverlight technologies. I can point to Xbox 360 if I really want to. Not that anybody's doing it right nowadays. I can push it out to WinRT-based items such as Win8, Windows 10, Windows Phone 8.1, the RT solution, and Xbox One, which will be announced somewhat soon. And of course, using the same portable class library, push to Xamarin to point to iOS and Android apps to make the same app over and over again. Using the same library, we're going to actually show a demo right now, right? We're going to go and fetch a set of data online, collect them all, and we're going to consume that data from two different, from Windows Phone, Windows 8, as well as iOS and Xamarin. We're going to show you how quickly and how easy it is to do that without getting into too much, hassle. All right. Well, we can actually go over that later on. Let's go and switch to demo mode. All right, my banner is done. Right.
I also need to share to the other screen.
There you go.
And you're going to share.
Yep,
Yeah,
doing that right now. Am I sharing, David?
Yep.
All right. I shall close that. All right, so right now for today's thing, I'm going to make a little app called Eventbrite Raffle. So normally I run my own user group in Graves Lake by Lake County Internet. It's called Lake County Internet Users Group in College of Lake County every second Thursday of the month. And we always raffle off items to give away at the end of the meeting. So I got sick of my previous co-leader picking out names out of a little lunch bag that I'm like, this is inconvenient. It makes us look like shameful because we are doing IT stuff and we're using paper here. So I wrote a little app on Windows Phone called Eventbrite Raffle, and then I came across this and I'm like, all right, let's just port it out to iOS and Android. So this is a perfect opportunity to show a little quick demo on it. Pretty much what I did so far is I created a universal project. So it's a universal app. Actually, you know what? Let's create a new one. What do you want to go with? Yeah, let's go with the universal app right here.
Let's just call it, I don't know, Xamarin.123, I guess, or Ruffle, or let's call it, I don't know, PCL. Ruffle.
I think that's how you spell it.
There you go.
So let's go with a new one. I don't really care for that right now. All right, so I am now going to add another project to this, and I need to add a portable class library right there. Library.
So right now we can actually target, at this point we're creating portable class library from scratch. We can target to anything we want, and obviously the lowest common denominator is going to win. So in this case, we're actually going to target to Windows Phone if you want to put Windows Phone in there, so on and so forth. Obviously, if you want to go to like let's say .NET Framework, 4.5.3, you might lose some features on other devices. So depending on that, you've got to figure out where the overlap is going to happen and where you want to actually use more smart code. So we're going to just use 4.5, targeted WinPhone, Win8, WinRT, and Xamarin. That's what we get.
It always comes with this crappy thing called class 1. I don't even know why they call it, but I'm going to delete it anyways.
So
I'm going to add a new one.
Add a new class?
Yeah, let's call it services. Yeah, actually, let's make folders. Add new folder. Services. And I think I have another folder called models, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And in my services, actually, I'm going to start with the models. So, what do we do?
We need to actually get the data, and we got to set up what kind of elements are going to come in, right?
Right. Actually, I need my cheat sheet a little bit. So. I just need to figure out where I start off at. All right, so I'm going to create it. Let's see.
Create an events model, and then from there, we're going to actually figure out what's going to come in here.
Actually, I need to create an item called error as well.
Why are we doing that?
Because
Not calm.
it's been a while. It's been a long day. Rename. All right.
So when you actually get data from Eventbrite, right? Eventbrite comes out and gives you spits out a particular set of events coming back to you, and you can actually have a successful event with a bunch of things attached to it, or you get an error. So that's why we're actually getting two different types of classes we're looking at.
And this is if we have a successful event, or a successful web call, we'll get the event models back. We usually create a seal class for this, and you can explain.
Well, seal class in this case, right? This is actually all coming back to the Windows WinRT side of things, and I'm actually creating a seal class just so that anything inside the seal class, that means I cannot touch it from outside externally. And that's also in the case of WinRT and WinPhone and so on and so forth. They also ensure that my data actually gets processed quicker. So those are the two main components that comes in there, especially when you're actually trying to get data coming up. So, one for privacy issues, another one for accessing data quicker. Right?
So now we are creating the actual object. You know what? We also forgot to add additional references. So I'm going to go to NuGet and get JSON.net from here as well.
Because the data comes out as a JSON thing. When we will process it, so on and so forth, we consume it.
So now that JSON.net is in there, we are now going to continue with this. So we are now using events and such. Don't need this anymore, we don't need this anymore, and we don't need that anymore. So this is pretty much a asynchronous task to get a list of events. So up above, I am initializing it, and then the class object, and then over here, I'm going to pass in a username and a password. It goes online and gets a HTTP client request, web request, and then it's going to if it's successful, we're going to pass the JSON objects out. So I am missing more objects. So this is just me passing the JSON objects, and then if I really want to be creative and be nice, I'll even add a sorting feature to this thing.
Items currently we're going to sort the items out through the PCL rather than doing it client side afterwards. Might as well, if the business logic makes sense at that time. In this case, might as well put it in there.
Right. So now I can call this. If everything works, I can use this to call from Windows Phone, Windows 8, and iOS and Android apps. If I use this if I use the executable out of this, right, the DLL out of this. So I'm going to save this. I'm going to move on. I'm going to focus on Windows Phone because my app was initially made on Windows Phone. So I'm going to set it as a starter project. In my reference, I'm going to add a reference of my PCL.
So we created a PCL earlier, right, with fairly simple items, and then all it's going to do is go online, get the data, fetch it out, put it back in as the object, and then spit it back out to us. That's what we're going to use. That's what we're going to use to consume that data over and over again from different things, and we include it back in the Windows Phone project right now, just to consume it. All right.
We all love Windows Phone, and the Metro, UI and everything else. Honestly, I think I can do a little bit better than this, right? So let's see what it actually. Yeah. So I'm just going to erase all this stuff. It's looking much nicer already.
All it is doing is just switching out the event so that we just don't bind the data properly and quickly. I don't care about the layout of anything else.
Right.
So fairly simple. I just want to get the data, just bind it using the basic binding that is built into Windows Phone right now.
So right now I have a headers event and then I have like title, and all I want to show is a list of titles. Pretty simple. So normally I go into my data model and I add another data model.
Another class for data source.
Yeah. Hold on a sec. Yeah, we're going to add a data source. So it's going to be event data source.
Yeah.
Pause. Okay. So I just entered a crap load of code in here, and if you want to look into this thing, all I'm doing is I took an existing sample data source and modified it to fit however I wanted to fit it. That way I can continue using the MVVM method that's already implemented in the templates throughout Windows Phone and Windows 8 projects. So I'm not really doing anything unique and special at that point. The only thing unique that I'm doing over here is I have a method that says get items async, and it's going to call to my PCL, and then it's going to pass in my username and password that we talked about earlier. All right.
And run it.
We can't run it yet. So.
Oh, good. Change it.
Yeah. So if we go to onload, we're going to change the onload or on navigator to. Is it on navigator to?
Yeah.
Right here. Load state. So instead of getting the sample data source, I'm just going to use the event data source, and I'm going to get it asynchronously.
It's a clone of the original, data source, right? We didn't change much on it. All we're doing is pointing to the different data source. Everything should somewhat bind with no issues.
All right. So.
Cross fingers.
It's a different class that I was using earlier.
Ruffle.
No, it's not Ruffle. Unless I go up to here. Services. It's Ruffle PCL services. So in theory, it should. And then over here in the data source, we're going to change it to.
Yeah. This is fine.
Data. Yeah. Event data source doesn't exist. So. So let's wait for the emulator to boot up now.
You didn't boot it up properly.
I didn't boot up my Mac properly. Do you have a cable?
Mm-hmm.
Everything is great on a Mac, apart from when you have to turn on Hyper-V and all that mess.
No, I have to def unlock. I haven't. I mean, I have done it yet.
All right.
Did you bring yours? Oh no.
No, I actually had to go to find it. Did you bring your camera?
Yep. The camera.
All right. So your phone's not def unlocked. Well, yeah.
I can log in.
This one, right?
Yeah.
Register. All right, Lauren, share us your info. Yeah. Register.
Come on.
I'll figure that out. You can explain a little bit more.
Yeah. So what's happening is that we're actually getting the data, right? We're going to actually try to show up how to make this thing work. Most likely, you might have to move one more time in, if that's the case, or the scenario. Or we can run it on my machine.
We're not running on the machine.
You won't get on the phone, and I'm trying to actually figure out how do I, show up with the it won't connect.
Oh, it's not connecting to
Dev Center. It's not going online. Dev Center might be down right now. Are you online?
Yeah, I'm online, supposedly. All right. Well, let's move over to the Android side of things.
Okay, let's move over to Android. I'll let you show me the same similar demo using a different set of data in a second.
So I'm going to create a new Android project. A new solution. Sandwich is fine, I guess, unless you want Android application.
Just make it a generic Android application.
Okay.
Let's call it REPL again.
All right. So now that that's in, pretty much what you want to do is you want to edit your references.
And this time we're going to actually go get that PCL that we just wrote earlier, right? From that Power class, I we could toss it back inside and we can same code.
Right. This is one way of doing it. Or what you can do is, if you have an existing project, you can also open it in Xamarin Studio and go from there. Projects. It's called REPL. So we have a, we can only edit this thing in PCL stuff in Xamarin Studio. So you can actually do this in Xamarin Studio without actually needing Visual Studio, but we're going to do it the other way around. So I edit Android. If I have this, I can go to Projects, edit. If you were doing a standalone project and then you have an existing project, but you want to have a different solution for this thing, and you want to just pull in the DLLs, you can manually browse and import it yourself as well.
If you have a pre-built DLL.
Yep.
Like JSON.NET, so on and so forth, right?
Right. All right. So the first thing I normally end up doing is always work on the UI layout, because I am pretty horrible at it.
So all we're doing is changing the UI layout so that there's a big giant list view available in the middle of it. Toss a button in there so that we can click on it. All it's going to do is grab a bunch of lists, right? That's all we're trying to get. Just to show you guys we're pulling data and fetching data.
And then when you're done, we're just going to go into the code and edit this thing out. So,
Go to main activities.
where is it?
All the way down.
I don't. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
So at this point, I am almost done with this project. So I just need to build this project. So I have, whoa, what the hell?
It's a bracket.
I knew this was gonna happen. What the hell is this? Pretty much, what I have is I have the activity class over here, and it uses my portable class library in it. I have a list view that I've created. This is my user list event, which is going to be coming from my portable class library, and it's going to request the events. So when I load this page, I'm gonna go online and just pretty much do the same request and populate this list.
So just like on Windows Phone, right? We're doing the same exact thing at that point. Same exact, very similar code to get the data coming out when you do the same reference.
So. So if it builds and deploys, it's going to look like this. So it's going to go online, and then it's going to populate this list.
There you go.
Of all the events that are in my user group, and then from here on, I can keep adding more additional different classes to this thing, and I can call pretty much all my data, my business layer, my business logic, and my data queries are going to be done in this portable class library. That way, I can just focus on most of the UI and just maybe tiny little UI logic stuff at the front end only. So it's going to save me a lot of time in the long run.
So I mean, it's fairly simple to create, right? As it turns out, it's not as strange and foreign as it appears in its sound. And very similar thing was actually being used, and this is the one that I'm actually going to go over real quick. Min and I am actually writing a blog post together. We're actually going to be this will eventually get to Microsoft as well on various through the various different channels on this on this little thing that I'm going to show you. It's a holy crap! I can't see anything on this screen. Give me 2 seconds. Let me readjust. It's a little app that Min and I just started writing. And what we do is we actually go online to a wine list of wines, and we actually get bottled information, that kind of stuff. We're using the same portable class library, and we're going to actually shooting it out to both iOS, Android, Windows Phone, and Windows 8. And most of this is currently done. We're waiting for Windows 10 to get released so that I can get updates in. But from the look of things, I think we're going to push it out before that happens anyway. So check our blogs. We'll actually be posting it on there, and we'll show you all the source codes and step by step on how this is done. So without further ado, let me actually show you this thing. Change the screen resolution. Duplicate this thing. All right, you guys can see this, right? So I'm going to run Visual Studio. This app called Wine Sommelier. Inside the app, right, the same scenario exists in terms of. Go ahead. Oh, sure. I can go back and reshare it. I'm sorry. Where is the share? Share. I got it. Entire screen. Okay. Let me know if you got my sharing so that we can actually see my code. David, can you see my screen? Okay.
So what's happening is that I actually created a whole brand new blank app. So in this case, this is a hub app because I want to actually make things a certain way, right? And we actually create the same portable class library, same method that we actually use. So I have a model. Inside the model, I have my wine information. So I have a class full of wine name, the country code, regions, winery, so on and so forth, right? That I'm getting, as well as the photos and recipes and so on and so forth, because that the site that I'm grabbing the data contains the labels as well as recipes and pairings, receipts, and so on and so forth. So I want to actually make it a rich looking app, and along with that, right? I have wine information, the wines itself, how ratings and everything else is in there.
What is longitude and latitude?
Longitude and latitude, so that I know where the winery is, so I can actually pinpoint to the winery if I want to go drive there when the time comes.
Okay, trivia now.
What?
What's the exact location right now of Chicago?
I don't know, somewhere around like 41, whatever, by negative 87, some in that range. Yeah. So actually, if we look at the services, right? I have what we have. I actually have 3 services on here. Wine information. Inside wine information, all I'm doing is I'm actually going online to my my secrets hideout where I'm getting the data. I have my API keys that that's going to get sent in, and it's actually going to go get me my wine, and I'm going to come back in and push it down into a task with a list of wines coming down. Right? I'm going to have an object with a list of wines coming back in every time I push it out and search for information. So I'm actually searching for, in this case, wine with the particular parameters, right? And that I can change it on the fly. I can say, I want to search for red wines. I want to search for a particular type of wine. I can do that on the fly that way. I'm trying to keep the back end as flexible as I can to accommodate as many inputs from the PC, from the front, right? The PCL is as open as I can get it in that space.
In your project right now, since it's a little bit more, I mean, it's further along in the event project or
Yep.
the raffle app. You now have 3 services, right?
Correct. I have wine information. I have winery information.
They
so
all look pretty much identical, apart from the fact that you're calling it different.
Correct.
In this case.
And different endpoints, right? I'm looking at, one of them is looking for winery, the other one's looking for wines. I'm looking for wine information. So all of these are pointing to different different information, and I'm getting those objects back as a JSON object coming back into a storage. So looking at that, right, I'm going to consume that guy from my Windows app. And the first thing I looked at was I want the app looking clean and whatever, nice. So I started off with a blank app, sorry, not blank, a hub app that's going to be, a big giant header with a bunch of information coming down. So let me show you what the app looks like currently right now. Again, I'm running on Windows 10, so you see the little things, but there it is, right? This is what the app is going to look like. I can scroll back. I have ads already in there. I'm going to make money somehow. And I can actually go in there and I can look at, for example, food pairing, and I can say with red meat, I want to actually bring up whatever type of wines that pairs with red meat. Now, when I'm putting in that, when I send in this particular search string, right, I'll show you that code in a second. It is now searching in there and going into the API through the PCL saying, I want wines that pairs with red meat through the category. So I made it as open as I can on the other on the PCL. It enables me to push it out in one single shot and get me the data I want coming back out. Because the data I know is going to be the same set of data coming back anyway.
Can you break one?
Yeah, I will. And same thing happens if I want to actually particularly search for a particular type of wine, right? Give me a winery, anybody, or a type of wine that you guys like. I'll see if I can pull it up.
I will just use that to you.
What is it? How do I spell it? Okay, something I can spell.
Ripple. Ripple?
Does it exist?
I don't know if they still make garbage wine.
Nothing coming back yet. I should have actually put it in through.
Boone's Farm? Yeah.
I'm not sure if I'm connected though, because I am actually getting results back. And I can also get inside the winery itself, the wine itself, right, and get more additional information as well. So let me show you the steps in between. On that, let me pause this guy. If I go to my, let's say the wine wine search page. All I'm doing is I'm actually I'm using the same, pretty much I'm doing everything else I can, I can think of, right, in terms of what happens when I do certain things. And in this case, I'm actually looking for, let me show you the code right here. Hold on. Search for wines. When I click on that search, right, I'm going to do that. I'm going to search for the particular item. So there is a search on the text search when the text is keyed down. I'm going to send in for the search for wine parameters, because I'm sending the whole chunk of parameters coming in, right? Inside there, I will actually what? I'll put it there, and let's run it. Let's see what happens. Search for wine, and I'm going here, and I'm going to look for looking for the name of the winery, guys. Sacrebleu. Sacrebleu, because I just saw the name of the winery. Yep, there it is, right? I'm getting it, and hold on, it's supposed to be breaking it. There you go. When I get, as soon as I touch it, and when I'm searching in there, right, I'm breaking into it, and F. Come on. Yeah, I am. Come on. Oh, there you go. Nope. Yeah, there you go. So it's actually going in there, and I'm actually sending in all my such parameters. What is it? And I get my search for wine, and then I get straight into.
You're not drawing.
Yeah. Okay, jump in there because I can't see. I haven't set up this machine either. And I'm also running on Windows 10, so the thing breaks down quite often. Like it literally locks up in the middle of it.
Okay, so pretty much he is going through. This is pretty much all his parameters for his web call.
Oh, you're pressing the function key. That helps.
How many parameters do you have?
Quite a lot. Because I went through every single wine type I can possibly think of to make sure that everything is accounted for.
Okay, now we're going to the. Hopefully, we're going to the right thing. Function F10, F10.
And that's for my collection. And bam, there it goes into my task to get my wine. And do an async call through my APIs in, get my first 100 lists of wines coming back out, toss it all in my
list here.
Toss it all in my list, and there's my list of wines that are coming back in, and then at that point I'm consuming it, right? Fairly simple for what we're doing, but it can do a lot of diverse job in one shot, which is nice. I mean, anybody should be able to do that fairly, easily without actually thinking about it, to be honest. And it, in terms of copying and pasting code back and forth, right, like the way I would traditionally do between multiple different platforms, this is way the heck better. This is like easier to do, just saying. Yeah, that's pretty much it from us regarding like portable class library introduction to how to write them and how to consume data straight from the web. I mean, to be honest, it's actually fairly simple, fairly easy, and people should be doing that on a daily basis if you can do that without any if you can do that rather than running around trying to get source code that are going to be a lot harder to maintain. Put it that way. That's it. You guys have any questions?
The Windows 8 hub template you use?
Yeah.
Is there like something similar to that in Android or iOS phone?
Is there a particular template you can use? No. In that case, typically I end up running my own front end anyway.
Right.
So,
like David, mentioned earlier, the Xamarin.Forms. So if you start using if you have one template set up, maybe in Xamarin.Forms, you'll be able to reuse that one. So at that point, you're pretty much on your own trying to get the UI layout done on the Xamarin.Forms.
Yeah, I like the template.
Right.
Yeah, the issue is that, right? I mean, it doesn't stop you from recreating similar looking hub template on iOS and Android. The biggest issue is that the clients are not going to like it because UX is very important at that point. And when you actually force feed a hub template on somebody who have never used hub before, meaning iOS and Android guys, they're going to look at it and say, this is not going to work. I mean, I've lost projects because I've lost clients who are trying, a bid on a giant project. I can't tell you the client, but yeah.
Like you can bring like a panorama theme into Android, right?
It doesn't quite work.
While it looks nice for most of us, it's not. Most people are not used to it.
And people who use it, meaning the end user, is going to balk. But that said, you can theme yourself anything you want. It doesn't, it's not going to hurt. Any other questions?
Sure.
Are there any limitations to using local class libraries?
There are.
Yeah.
Cases where you would not want to use that? I love the opinion you should always use it.
I would too, right? If you can. I mean, there are going to be times when you're going to run into issues where I need specifically done something quickly, or I want to just, for proof of concept, that kind of stuff. I mean, 9 times out of 10, if you can use it, I would say go ahead and use it. The issues that you're going to run into are in terms of .NET compatibility, and where certain things exist for one or the other. I mean,
you'll be limited to like the lowest common denominator, right? I believe like maybe 6 months ago, someone wrote a portable class library adapting for .NET micro frameworks. Well, at that level, you won't get anything done, right? So you pretty much you won't be using it for that. You're going to be using it for the more.
The constraint is going to be, the lowest class denominator. But I mean, you can always, if they have a lot of things in there, then it becomes really, really tedious at that point. The portable class library becomes really, really pain to look at. If you can follow through it, why not? I would say use it if you can, because it makes life easier. That said,
the only thing you might want to watch out for is like if you start doing like a lot of customization for each platform, so you'll have a lot of different compiler directives for that. Then you got to figure out a better methodology of organizing your code, because one code may do it in this much, another is going to do it this much, and you don't want this much code in one file.
That's my only drawback for PCLs, right? In terms of when it gets complex. Apart from that, I say go for it if you can use it all the time. Unless you need it for something quick, right? You want something done where I want to actually do a proof of concept for a client that needs it done right away. Then, hey, at that point, everything is up for grabs. Just do whatever you need to do to show them a demo. Any other questions or comments?
Can you show us the page for your project, which is the PCL project?
Yeah. Do you want to jump in on here? The properties page?
Yeah. See, like, what do you, I guess, trying to understand what makes it workable. What are you compiling against? Is it a framework or?
Well, pretty much it compiles into like it does compile into a DLL.
Yeah.
So let's list the checkboxes.
Yeah, we did. Right. But go back and just create a new portable class library.
You double click the boxes. Just double click on it. Okay. We'll see.
Yeah, there you go. Right. When you're targeting.
Oh, okay, this is what you do.
Correct. All the way in the beginning when we started creating a new project. So when you created it, we actually say I want to target to X, Y, and Z, right? Like I want Windows 4, Windows 8, .NET 4, 5.
Let's say you had.
Those are all the compiler directives.
Well, no, these are going to come into. These are the ones that are actually going to have a low. These when you do this particular portable class library, everything that is going to come in there straight up is going to be the ones that you can use across the board, all of them. However, if you want to actually, let's say, use direct access to the file system, which is not available on Windows Phone, for example, right? In that case, you're going to have to do it. Compiler directive to say if you have Windows Phone, then skip that step completely altogether. Don't do that, or do an equivalent of something else.
Yeah, so like if I check, Windows Phone, Silverlight.
Or Silverlight 5.
Right. It will say, I'm going to bring everything down to that level.
Anything else you want has to be, yeah.
Right. So at any time you can go in and add more stuff, if you find some other target, you can add additional targets as well.
But, yeah. But I mean, can you go back to the screen again one more time?
Sure.
Unless you're doing something really, really wicked and bring in, like, let's say, Silverlight 5 on, something odd, right? 9 times out of 10, you're going to be looking at .NET Framework 4.5 and above. You're going to be looking at, you probably won't look at Windows Phone Silverlight at all because that's going to be dead soon.
Well,
because everything's switching to
unless currently Forms only supports Windows
Yes.
8 Silverlight. So if you're using Forms, unfortunately, you need to use that older technology.
Xamarin.Forms is still. But that will change though eventually when everything will switch to WinRT side of the stack. I mean, that's a matter of when versus, how, it's a matter of how soon.
I mean, with Xamarin as well, because they've done such a good job of capturing the framework, you tend to find that almost everything that's in .NET Framework 4.5 you would want to use also exists in Xamarin iOS and Xamarin Android.
Yeah.
However, Windows Phone 8, in particular 8 Silverlight, has a lot missing. A lot missing in terms of classes, and a lot missing in terms of some of the methods, properties within those classes. So that brings you down quite a bit with having to use that with Forms. And in fact, it gets a little bit worse because, and you might be able to comment on this more, there appears to be a bug in how Microsoft works out what's available. Because, for example, if you look at if you look at what's in here, for example, every single one of those platforms has web clients available to it, web client class. But if you try and use it from a PCL, it's not available. It should be available, but it's not. And there's one or two cases where that happens, where you know that a class is available in all the target platforms you've selected, but you find that you can't access it directly from the PCL. And the only way to access it is actually to use version of control, dependency injection, basically to basically mirror it as a platform-specific one and use an interface to pull those in and use a version of control, which is again extra work and it shouldn't have to be done.
No.
But there's a few cases, and unfortunately, one or two of them are. It seems to me, it seems to be mostly around community comms, the comms packages, and cryptography.
The reason behind it is when you look at Windows Phone, right? Phone 7 was a old Windows Mobile 6 updated and changed around, and when Windows Phone 8 came around, there was obviously there was a clash within Microsoft when they were trying to figure out who's going to do what and how they're going to do XAML and how they're going to do Silverlight, and that was how everything became a complete standstill-ish, right? In terms of what from the rest of the world. I mean, if you look at how a lot of these Silverlight frameworks, in Windows Phone 8 is done, is not a copy and paste job of traditional Silverlight. They pretty much redid everything from scratch-ish with a lot of things stripped down, like you were talking about. So when you're looking at that kind of scenario, it becomes an issue for things. Well, mainly, in my case, I run a lot of things with Bluetooth stuff, and communication is the other one. Their goal is to switch around and switch things around. I mean, Microsoft's goal always have been to get out of that, right, from Silverlight and switch everything to WinRT, just so that they got one platform, one core, one runtime that runs across everything, all the way from microcontrollers all the way to their cloud system. So that's the goal, and that's what they're doing. And eventually, that's going to happen. Well, it is happening now, right? It's just that we don't see all of it dropped yet. And that's that. Eventually, Xamarin.Forms will, probably get switched over and so on and so forth. Yeah, Mike.
I said a comment for this. You guys will notice a ton of people on NuGet package maintainers on NuGet are also targeting packages.
Yep.
So JSON.net or really popular libraries when using on the desktop or the server, a lot of people, if there's not like a weird platform specific thing, are porting it over to PCL. So
which makes
a lot of the cool tools that you use already today work across platforms. So if you're already using JSON.net, HTTP client, like all that kind of stuff runs natively as PCL, so you can get it on iOS.
right.
It's awesome.
It is, because I was actually I had to run around and get something else a couple of days ago for an Android app that I didn't even think about, right? And all of a sudden, like, hey, there's a NuGet package. Click, done.
It's stuff that you get used to using, or that you've been using on a desktop now for years. Lots of people, makes it even more compelling,
right.
to have the same stuff server side
and to re-emphasize on using other, like helping sources out there, right? Xamarin has their own forum for that, as well as, things like Stack Overflow. I mean, that's where I found the thing, like, oh, there it is. And the guy's like, oh, why don't you use this thing? Okay, let me try that. There it is, right? So things that you don't even think about. Yeah, NuGet is definitely a good way to get different sources that you can toss in. And there are a lot more and more of these are coming out too. It's like, it's mind-boggling.
You do have to be a little bit careful because if you've got a product that you've developed for somebody or you're developing for yourself and you expect it to last for have relevance for a reasonable length of time, you want to select libraries that you're pretty sure are going to be supported for that period. So somebody does they'll do a PCL or a library in a couple of weeks because they think it's a cool idea and just put it out there and you use it, you could find there's problems with it and they don't support it. So, in those circumstances where you find something really cool like that and you want to use it, you've got to make sure it's open source. So that at the very least, you can get the source code and fix any bugs in it if you need to. So generally speaking, for example, what I tend to do is I tend to go, you only use PCLs and libraries that are from pretty trusted sources. So from Xamarin.Forms labs, from Microsoft, from organizations like the Bouncy Castle guys. There's one or two others that are people out there doing this that have been doing it for a long time. And you sort of know that those are going to be supported. But it's just something to be aware of, that if you put in something that somebody's done because they think it's really cool, you better make sure that you've got access to the source code.
Oh, you know where he or she lives. Oh, you know where he or she lives. That's a little bit creepy. Well, I know a couple of guys who wrote some of those things, and like, I know where you are.
But so, for example, we mentioned, the storage, the fact that Windows Phone uses a different storage mechanism philosophy than Android and iPhone.
Yeah.
And there's a PCL. So there's a PCL, I think it's actually called PCL storage, which resolves all that for you. It defines the interfaces, so things like iFile and iFolder, and you just use those instead, and it pulls in the development code for you. And does it all for you, which is great, even down to where things are in the directory structures on the platform. So you'll find, that a lot of those cross-platform issues where you do need that are fundamental ones that are different to the platform. You'll often find that there's a PCL library that's out there and supported that will solve those for you. So they really are very powerful.
Any other questions or comments you guys want to toss out? Otherwise, I would say come back to them in the next meeting. We'd like to see you guys again, and when the site goes live for Chicago Code Camp, go register. And other thing I would actually mention is, that conference, but that's way too far away, so I won't even talk about it. I won't even, say anything about that yet. But yeah, that's it, guys. Thank you.
One other announcement I was asked to make. I've got the information here. If anyone's interested in iBeacons, we actually had actually the session on iBeacons using Xamarin 4 or 5 meetups ago. But there's actually on March 6th to 8th, there's an iBeacon hackathon going on at Diogo. and it's being sponsored by Google and Urban Airship. And it's now free. It's going to be a free hackathon. And the website is chibeaconhack.com. So I'll put this information out there on the meetup site so that you can get a hold of it. But if you're interested in iBeacons, that might be something that you're interested in.
Yep. Again, thanks.
Okay, thank you everyone.